which is really Supercoach relevant. Late mail, cheapie conundrums. Send your questions through as well. We'll get to them in a sec.
Coach Sports.
Yes.
Official podcast. Round preview with Tom Sangster and Rob Sutherland.
Hello, Super Coaches. It's round 10. It's our preview podcast. It's a huge show and a huge weekend of Mother's Day Rugby League. We've got burning issues for tonight's game, some big late mail, cheapie conundrums all over the place, and a huge panel with Joe Naddaf, the former champ, and Rob Sutherland as well. How's your team travelling?
Not bad for a non-former champ, Thomas. Yeah, it's looking all right at the moment.
Trades?
Yep, always. Until they're gone.
So you're just burning through them as much as you can. And we know that you don't have any boosts left.
Correct.
But you've burnt every single trade possible so far.
Not true. I'm too short of max, I believe. Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
Yeah. I tried. I tried, but it's like what's the story? It's given as an Aesop's fable, but it's not really. Like the scorpion on the frog. That's me, man. I've just got to be me.
There you go.
And
Great.
Joe Naddaf, your team. I know that your team was flying definitely up into top 1,000s.
Yeah, I think about 3,000.
3,000.
Gone back to 13,000. I actually like the look of my team. Just a few hit and misses. Too many Warriors players that didn't fire the last 2 weeks. I was on the Warriors bandwagon, and that sort of come back down to earth. So
we will get.
Could you call it the bandwagon?
Thank you. Clever, he's on fire.
Yes.
Tom hates puns, but I can't help myself.
Yeah, I've been telling Rob no puns. There is no point of puns, and then he comes up with that. We'll get your questions in a sec, guys. I'm just going to load them up now, but send them through. While we're waiting for that, though, code is only $59 up front for 12 months. You get SuperCoach Plus, which has a buy planner in it. So you don't need to muck around with spreadsheets, and I've seen handwritten notes getting posted around on social media. You don't need that. It's all within SuperCoach Plus. Plus you get the SuperCoach articles, as I said, $59 up front. It's a bargain. Burning issues for tonight.
Thomas, you missed one. You missed my chance to say banter segment. Anything you want to say, Robert, and I do. Screw you, Twitter, or X. I know it's a cesspool, like we know Twitter can be a cesspool, but I had the temerity to, just for shits and giggles, put up this is my New South Wales projected team.
Oh, that did not get
outrage that people have. How can you suggest anybody different from my team? For fuck's sake, what is wrong with people these days?
It still caused less drama than your tweeting while you're over in Vietnam, that's for sure.
No comment on that. As you would notice when you put up the positional changes, I enjoyed the first comment from one person was, none of them are Supercoach relevant. Oh, sorry, we'll just make crap up to make it easier. The other one was people then like, oh, Rob, what about this? I'm like, I have nothing to do with this. I'm now banned. It's in my contract. Can't do anything.
You definitely have something to do with it, and you're partly to blame if something goes wrong.
So I've got a massive rant.
Yeah.
Every Thursday morning I sit there with my son who's 10 years old, got him into Supercoach, we sit there. 2 weeks ago tipped him onto Isako, who absolutely killed 100 and something into the 155. Last week I said Tommy Didden's going to have a juicy run, he scored 80 odd, downgraded from 100. Sat with him this morning, we said Dominic Young, so I'm going to take my own advice finally, because we sit there as experts and give advice, probably never take it. I'm taking my advice because my son is skyrocketing up the rankings and he's embarrassing me.
But so you're getting Dom Young?
I am.
That sucks, because I had him as an in, so now that's
but my son got it.
Oh, well, maybe it's a 50-50. Yeah.
So and he also said to wish happy Mother's Day to his mum today, so happy Mother's Day. Really good to his grandparents.
He is a good boy, that's
He
for
is.
sure. Moving on to some questions. The first one is when the Hammer is going to be back, and we just posted late mail on the site about half an hour ago. He's back next week, so it's not good news for Trey Fuller.
So Hammer's back, which is bad for him, and Herbie Farnworth is back, which is potentially bad for Asako. Herbie is a very good runner of the ball, but perhaps not the greatest passer. Might be a fair assessment of Herbie's ability.
Yeah, 100%. But you're saying that Nicarima's very good at sweeping out the back.
Nicarima is very
And
good at
cutting
cutting
out,
and going where he
so-
wants. Nicarima's in great form.
Is he
The
what?
5'8's like this dead zone, but Nicarima's popping up. Sorry, Tom, I've ruined your mail by just going off on a
No,
tangent.
that's I'm happy with that. I'm always happy when you go off on a tangent, and when you're unprepared, it's when we go a lot better. Jason is asking, or not asking, he's saying, buy round must-haves. Garrick and Asako fight me. What do you reckon? I've got Garrick already. I'm pretty happy. Asako's too expensive. I can't fit him in.
But Zaka plays all the big buy rounds, kicks goals as well. They find a way to get the ball to him. You know, I mean, against the Knights 2 weeks ago, it was on 40 points and scored 2 late tries, or try assists to get to that 100. I'm a big Zaka fan.
As someone who had him last year and he just kept scoring tries in the last 5 minutes,
Yes.
I was very happy. And you're right, they do find a way of getting it to him. But
It's nice and straight.
I'm with Tom. I can't afford both, so I've got Garrick now. So yeah.
We'll get to your questions later on as well, so keep sending them through on Facebook and YouTube Live as well. Burning issues for tonight. The late mail, you did mention it, but Herbie Farnworth apparently breezed through captain's run, so he will play. Kenny Bromwich will play. Hammer is back next week, and Kafusi's going to spend some time at prop. And the reason I bring this up is because I know that you're a Max Plath owner.
I am.
And the quotes from Bennett, and I'm paraphrasing, essentially he said, we need someone big in the middle because Plath and Raystone are small players, and we can't have all small players in the middle. So does this mean that Plath's minutes get cut by Kafusi?
Well, the obvious answer to that, Thomas, is perhaps this week. But let's be honest, Kafusi is just a walking suspension risk. So you know, if Kafusi plays in the middle, that's more chances for tackles, which is more chances for high tackles, which means he's more likely to be suspended.
Great analysis. That makes absolute sense. Jack Bostock, very popular sell. So I'm basically using this as a segue to get into who would you sell him for? Who are the best guys at centre wing? There are so many good guys with Asako, Garrick's popular, Brimson, you've got the cheapies as well in Armstrong and Farlongo. So many good options at centre wing. Who's the best one? Dom Young I missed as
I
well.
think I'm going to pay up probably, I'd say Ozako.
Yeah.
But geez, there's a lot of coins, 770 odd. But like I said, paying those big 3 buying rounds is a vice captain option in those games. But you are paying premium, so, and I mean, Bostock's made his money, 300k I think he's made, so yeah, you've got to pay for the big boys, I reckon.
I think Dom Young's the value. I think he's the 580, something like that. And you know, he was 650, something like that to start the year, and looked okay. Then he had that nightmare game where he got minus 15, and he's dropped 100k. He's going to start making that back. Doesn't cover every buy, but does cover the first one and the third one. Certainly the first one. So I think Dom Young's the buy on value. Agree Asako if I had unlimited cash.
You should have seen him at Accor Stadium that night.
Oh,
Well, I was like, yeah, send him off, high tackle. And then, oh shit, he's on the Supercoach team. Mixed emotions.
They're conflicted.
Tell me about it.
The late mail at the Sea Eagles is that there's none really, but that means that Ben Trbojevic has survived the cut, so it looks like he'll play. So I'm pretty happy as a Ben Trbojevic owner that it looks like he'll play and start for the Sea Eagles tonight.
Yeah, very handy with that duel to hang on to. I wouldn't be buying him, but I think 5 broke even, so...
Yeah, the
Bit of
BE is
luck to make some
reasonably
bit of
low,
cash.
but the ceiling's
It's
not.
just, yeah, I mean,
horrendous, is it?
I feel like one try and then you get a pretty good boost from him.
Sure, but worst case, like we're going to get another. I've got him too. Maybe another 20k in a dual position, so that's handy.
Yeah,
The question
dual
is if
position, yeah.
Olakawatu comes back and then he shifts to the left-hand side where the Waddell drops out, so
Yeah.
that could be the question.
I mean, that's going to make it awkward in the Trbojevic family sort of family dinner at Mother's Day, won't it? Yeah.
Speaking of the Trbojevics, very popular VC this week is Tommy Turbo. By far the most popular. I think it makes sense. I'm sticking to my guns and straight captaining Turbo for the 10th week straight. I'm just going to keep going with that. But what are your thoughts on Turbo? VC, C, or I know that you were even tossing up selling him this
When we
week.
spoke on Monday, it was selling Turbo for Trbojevic. I've done a DCL backflip on that. I'm going to hang on to him for 1 more week. I'm going to go for Drinkwater next week. And I'm going to straight see Captain Tommy T.
Ooh,
Suncorp
huge.
Stadium.
What a turnaround. So from selling to straight C on
There's
Tommy
that many backflips
T.
this weekend, I'm telling you, it's crazy.
I'm going the vice captain on Garrick. I think it's
Right.
sort of a hedging bets in that if Manly goes well, Garrick scores well. If Turbo goes well, Garrick still goes well. He's kicking the goals and often gets the try on the back of his assist. And I'll probably captain Holmes, I think, against the Titans.
Yeah, we'll get to captaincy later on, but I also think Cleary.
Sorry, Tom, you brought it up.
I was just about to say, I think Cleary is a decent option too, but he's on Friday night, so you need to get your VC out of the way tonight if you want to do Cleary. On to the Tabs best bets of the week. You can brought to you by Tabs NRL Same Game Multi. Build smarter same game multis using stats and insights. Download the Tab app today. Now, I'm thinking this top of the table clash between the Storm and the Sharks will be tight. It'll be low scoring. So I've got the Storm to win. Total points under 41.5. It's paying $3.50. So I'm pretty confident of that getting up. What are you thinking, Rob? Are you going with a $3.50 play or something a bit wilder?
Perhaps I would argue more confident than you, Thomas. I also feel bad because, the TAB, what is it? Build a smarter multi. I have a 5-leg multi, all from the one game. Yeah. Manly to beat the 2.5 line, minus 2.5. I think that's reasonable. Garrick to score more than 8 points. Asako to score more than 8 points. Tom Trbojevic to score a try in the first half, and Garrick to score a try in the second half. That will get you a lazy 41-1, my friends.
41-1. Well, I reckon at least a couple of those will get up.
Well, I mean, that's how it works, isn't it? If you get like 3 or 5 up, you get 3/5 of 41-1, isn't that? No.
If you cash out.
No, if you've got Tommy's QR code, the TAB will help you out.
What do you think of Joe?
Mate, I went to got a shout out to my mate Joey T, who gave me this one. He's a good punter and comes back with very good odds often. He's gone for a same goal multi, same game with try scorers. Isaac $1.75 anytime try scorer. Turbo $1.90. Jason Saab $1.85 for a $7 return. Well, Suncorp dry game.
Yep, I do like the weather is important this weekend. Yeah. And of course, the only place to place those bets is on the Tab app. What is gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on screen or visit the website gamblinghelponline.org.au. I mentioned the weather before, so if you're watching from outside of Sydney, it has been raining for about 2 weeks straight here. There's going to be some soggy games in Sydney, but Melbourne looks pretty good and Brisbane looks pretty good tonight as well. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's fine, but it's definitely better than Sydney.
Yeah, it's belting out there.
Cheapie Bible, David Armstrong. A lot of people are going off him a little bit. Are you getting him in?
No. We sort of talked about it on, was it Tuesday? Oh, I'm losing track. That I thought the gloss was knocked off him a little. A tough game in the conditions, but the number of runs were low and I worried about that. I much prefer the next guy, Fa'alongo. I think he's a really good get. Shorter lifespan. I think Pappenhausen comes back before Ponga does, but I think the upside is higher. So yeah, I'm going to pass.
Yeah, he's electric. Fa'alongo. I broke a SuperCoach 10. I bought Armstrong in a week earlier last week. I actually paid him on my 17, thinking that, like you said, those runs, 20-odd runs with tackle busts. The weather didn't help. I'm going to back him in again. I'm going to pay him on my 17 again this week. Ooh, right. Would I buy him? I don't know. I'll probably go Fa'alongo. I jump ship and go there and back this in again.
Fa'alongo's a better buy, but you can wait till next week on him. Plus, I've got Chevy Stewart sitting there, which was a mistake of a trade. So I'm thinking of just going Chevy Stewart to Armstrong, and it's pretty much a straight swap.
Yeah. So this week?
This week, yeah. And then I'll get Fa'alongo next week. Kyo Weeks, any love for him next week? You don't have to get on. They've got the bye, obviously. But a low break even, was pretty good in his second game in the halves, but probably not great in his first. What do you reckon?
I've got a set rule that once, never a SuperCoach player, they probably never get to a SuperCoach player. Kyo Weeks had the game of his life, I think, with a try and try assist and scored 69 points.
Yeah.
I can't see it being a regular, so it's not for me. But next week anything can change.
It depends what happens with Galvin for me this week. Galvin could be a sell. Equally, he could be one of these guys that's maybe a borderline keeper who you could play depending on matchups later on in the year.
He seems to have a floor of around 40, Galvin. Now I'll take that as my second backup 5/8 until I can afford to have Brown Munster or Brown Nikorima if he can keep going. Yeah. So I'm happy with 40 as a backup there.
The other thing to point out is that Blaze Talangi now at fullback. I'm excited to see him in that position because I really like the look of this guy. Unfortunately, though, it means the dual positions you mentioned before came out yesterday. Blaze Talangi looks like he's going to miss out. So he had one game at centre, one off the bench, 2 at 5'8". So he just needed one more game to get 5'8" dual position. Now he's named at fullback. So he's been used absolutely everywhere. Unfortunately, won't get the dual, but I'm excited to watch him play this week.
Yeah, same. Parramatta sources say that fullback is his position. He's more of a runner. He looks more comfortable in the centres. He did at 5'8", so I held on to him. Hopefully he can generate some cash for us.
I'm going to play him. I'm going to go ahead and jump down there. It's my guilty pleasure, Thomas. Sorry.
You
may as well just host it.
I probably shouldn't. Right? Like Arpi or Iro, I think maybe a smarter picks. But I'm going to Lungy. He's not like. It's interesting. Zach Sini has better figures at fullback in New South Wales Cup. Like he makes 28 runs and 250 metres. He's like a Nickel Klukstar of fullbacks, right? And Talangi doesn't appear to be that. Maybe he's more Reece Walshy, more when he chimes in, he makes something happen. And I'll take that as my fourth reserve.
I love the fact that he knocked back his contract extension. So
yeah,
he's backed
himself.
So
yeah. Well, there's money at the Roosters. There's money at the Roosters.
Back on track with the run. I do want to mention some of the position updates. So the big one is that Dylan Brown is confirmed dual. So he's played 5 games at halfback already. So he is locked in for dual position. Simi Sasagi is 1 game in the back row away from getting dual position. So definitely keep an eye on him. But he does have the bye this week, so it's going to be tough for him. Ryan Madison's probably unlikely given that he's playing on an edge these days. Late mail, repeating from above, Herbie Farnworth and Kenny Bromwich are definitely back. Ben Trbojevic looks like he will play. The other thing is that Nathan Cleary looks like he will play. The quotes were pretty strong from his dad, Ivan, on Tuesday, so it's looking good for him.
Nervous against the Bulldogs, but I think we'll contain him. Wet weather, I'm quietly confident. Sub 60, I'd say.
What do you reckon about Cleary as a captaincy option?
If you've got him, why not? There's always a chance. Just hamstrings, a bit of a worry. Origin around the corner, will he really push himself? If he does do well, we get an early shower like he did before his injury.
When does the Dylan Brown change come through?
Round 12.
Can we
so it's still a couple more weeks.
Because then my trades would be better. I know, again, this is not on the run sheet, Rob's trades, but that would be better for me. Can we organise that?
I can't work that out. So it's...
at
the end of round 11...
Sean Johnson out, Brown up, Plath down to 5'8", and... Yeah.
Wow.
End of round 11. So when the game opens for round 12, you'll see Dylan Brown with dual position, along with 6 others. There's 7 guys who have earned dual position so far, and another bunch of guys who are on a watch list as well, who could earn it in the next couple of weeks.
I should have known that, but thank you, Tom.
Yes, that's good to point out. You're not really a follower of rules, are you, Rob?
Not on the whole.
Don't change.
Apisai Coruscant, hopefully he's going to play. Some good quotes on Sean Johnson from the coach saying that he actually trained this week. He did more than just captain's run this week for the first time in 5 weeks. So they're hoping to have him back to full fitness by next week or the week after.
As I know, I'm very happy about that because when there was talk about an Achilles and managing and maybe resting, they've lost obviously 3 in a row, so they can't afford to rest him. So
yeah, they're on the side. Maybe that's why he trains. maybe the coach is like, you know what? Maybe let's go back to what worked before.
Yeah.
We'll take some questions quickly. There are a lot coming through about AJ Brimson. He's a good little pod, but do you take him ahead of Osaka?
It's a great pod. I bought him actually last year and captained him, so on matchups he's fantastic. Very energetic. Yeah, I might have minded.
Yeah, I think he's really good. The only fear is Jaden Campbell's return in a couple of weeks, but I think there's a chance Campbell goes into the halves. Either way, like the Titans have been a much better team. With Brimson at fullback, they beat the Warriors, almost beat the Storm. That's like I'm captaining Holmes against them, but the Titans are actually looking better. Yeah.
Sean is asking, another Warriors player, Sean is asking about Jackson Ford. Is there any love for Jackson Ford? He piqued my interest a couple of weeks ago and then I went elsewhere.
The fact that he's back on the right-hand side outside SJ and he got a lot of those short balls last week, didn't really pay off, but it's a good place to be.
He was close. He was close to putting his nose. So it was a bit like RTS, like he kept looking like he'd almost break it. The price is good. I looked at Ford. It's about 580 because he had a couple of real stinkers in there. There was one game he made 3 runs. He made no runs at halftime. It was an absolute dud. But the runs have come back the last couple of weeks, and the base is 55. So you can get a 55 base of 580k. Yeah, I got some interest.
With upside, yeah.
Right, guilty pleasure time. Rob's already done his, so I'll just talk to Joe in this one. You've got 2.
So
All right, well, hit us with your second.
Up to you.
My guilty pleasure is holding RTS. I don't quite know why I'm doing it. Maybe I'm thinking about those amazing seasons he had at the Roosters when he was playing fullback and banging out 20-odd runs a week. Maybe that's still in my mind. I don't know. I could sell him to Dom Young for essentially the same price, and Young's got a negative break-even, averaging 80 when you take out the minus 15. Covers the buy. It all makes sense, but for some reason I'm sticking with RTS, mainly because I'm just burning too many trades and I need to save one.
I'm with you. I just think with the Warriors sort of downturn in form, if he gets a wing spot, even a fullback spot, he becomes absolute gold. So he'd be a good commodity to have. I'm going to probably hang on to it as well. So I agree with you there. Your
guilty pleasure?
I sat here 4 weeks ago and called Dom Young an absolute slam dunk. I bought him for 30 against Penrith and minus 15 against the Bulldogs. I think we spoke yesterday. I'm going to go back to the well. I'm going to back him in. Like I said that night or that afternoon, he's got the aerial attack. He's got Joey Manu. He's got Tedesco. He's got the Harbour Bridge passes in Walker and Luke Keary. So minus break even. Hell with it, breaking all the rules.
Rob?
My guilty pleasure is that I have your brain to pick here. So I need to make a decision whether I trade Terrell May or, I think I've got the right May that time, or Max King, right? I've got to get rid of one of them so that I can bring in Val Holmes, who I think is a good get, great sort of, I've waited this long. Which one of those do I sell?
I saw your tweet or your ex yesterday to sell a guy that just scored 120. Oh, I'm all for it. Go for it.
But which one? Do you sell May or Max King? May? Yeah, I think so too.
He's going to score 120 again. Radley's back. JWH's Miles State game. Yeah, do it.
Spencer's back. All 15 minutes of him before he gets suspended. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of suspensions this week, according to Rob. That's for sure. Onto the no-go zone. I've probably mentioned it already enough, but Jermaine Osaka at that price, I just can't quite go there. Rob, who's your no-go zone?
Oh, Terrell May. Only in that, not to back up, do I sell him? But 1,000 people are buying him. That makes no sense to me at all. That's maybe people who are just looking at a guy scored 120 and go, oh, I'm diving in. But have a look at the team list. I think he struggles to get more than 35 minutes, 35 minutes. And that's 35 points. So, I think it's a mistake.
I agree with that one. For me, it's Garrick. I think that draws him in his break even. If I got on last week, I'd be stoked. But the numbers, 4 tries in the last 2 games. A draw coming up, so I've got Dolphins tonight, which is a good matchup. Broncos Storm by Panthers. So if he doesn't score tries, he's getting 40, 50. Yeah, the break even's very low.
He does have a career average of 165 against the Dolphins.
There you go. One game.
One game.
What a sample size.
Statistics are damn large, my friend.
He's getting up in price a little bit too, almost at the 700k mark. I got on last week and I'm happy, but would I be getting on it almost 700k? Probably not this week. On to Captain My Captain. I think that Nicho Hynes is not an option this week. He's at 24%, but he's playing Melbourne in Melbourne. I would be avoiding Nicho as captain. I know he's averaging 140 probably in the last 3 weeks, but Melbourne in Melbourne is tough.
I'm all for it actually. If the masses jump off, imagine having Nicho as a pod captain. Melbourne decimated. He used to play there. He knows Amy Park. There's no Jerome Hughes, no Pappenhausen. A rookie. I love it.
It's the same Melbourne that conceded 20 points to the Titans, and the Sharks are better than that. Look, I don't hate going with Hynes. I think it's reasonably safe actually. But I'll be going elsewhere. And
to point out as well, the weather is actually decent down in Melbourne, where it's going to be junk in Sydney all weekend. So you could target that game or tonight's game at Suncorp.
Or you could argue that the dry is bad for the wet head Prince.
He'll still be spraying water bottle in there.
He'll bring his own water.
What are your thoughts on? We've mentioned Cleary already, but I reckon he's a decent captaincy option. It's only at 9%, which is pretty pottish for Nathan Cleary.
Yeah, the hamstring sort of steers me away, and the Dogs going to be stubborn tomorrow.
The Dogs had a great record against Cleary. I think it's possibly his worst opponent to play against. I don't know why, but yeah.
Well, I'm going captaincy on Tom Trbojevic as per always, but very good VC option as well. Val Holmes, I've got as the pod captain of the week, 2.8%, and you're considering doing that.
I think I will. I've got his floor at around 55, just on tackles, runs, a bit of goal kicking, and there's plenty of upside there. So, the Cowboys, a little bit of gloss has come off them from their fast start, but I think this week they come back.
Yeah, probably the worst game of his life last week, missing tackle and still scored 59.
Yeah.
I think Drinkwater's a good shout as well for those that are bringing him in.
Great shout. I just can't bring myself to sell one of Trbojevic or Walsh having flip-flopped around on my fullbacks. I just can't sell another one.
Yeah.
So, actually, the latest question is whether to captain Drinkwater. The other person who's been thrown up is Tom Dearden as a cheeky C. I mean, they are a team to target this week, the Cowboys. But
yeah, they've got a great run coming up.
It's a risk.
Yeah, I think we know, for a half that's not kicking goals. I like him as a buy, definitely not as a captain.
What I like about Dearden as a buy is that he's like a 60 to 80 guy. Just so consistently throws scores in that range. But that's not a captaincy range. That's a buy and leave. It's like an Isaiah Yeo, Yeah.
Solid, yeah.
Corey Elton is asking, thoughts on Dane Gagai, goal kicking and tackle busting? He's definitely caught my attention and doesn't seem like he's on the Origin radar these days. But you look at the centre wing and you look at the great buys in that position, and Gagai's probably about the sixth best. Yeah. But now that he's kicking goals, he certainly has my attention.
It goes back to ceiling. You've got the Mariners who get the 100+ scores. I don't see Gagai as good as he goes getting 100+. So a lot has to go right for him to score 100+.
Yeah, I think the Knights need to go on one of those Ponga-esque runs, like they did at the end of last year to make Gagai really worthwhile. Not for me.
Brad is asking RTS to AJ, Alex Johnson. That's a crazy trade when you consider.
It might mean AJ Brimson.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, that's actually a decent trade.
Unless he's been day
Alex
drinking.
Johnson.
AJ Brimson, that's a doable
that makes
one.
much more sense.
Yeah. I had a question from DJ Mayhem, sorry.
Yeah.
He's comment about my party shirt, DJ Mayhem. It's for Mother's Day, or the mothers out there again. What to do with Jesse Arthurs? Who would you move to Jesse Arthurs? He's got $500k in the bank.
Oh, so...
With that trade.
Well, Farlongo is the guy to free up the cash. If he's got $500k in the bank, why not go to Osako, though? Yeah. He's got enough money.
There you go.
If he's got loads of trades, you could go Arthurs down to Armstrong and next week Armstrong to Farlongo. You're going to make yourself 150k on that sort of transition. But I think Dom Young's the value centre wing. But
well, we'll call it a day on the preview podcast for today. Big thanks to Rob. Big thanks to Joe Naddaf, the former champ, as well. We'll catch you on Tuesday for the Live React Team podcast, and good luck on the weekend.